Hey class, welcome to week number 1 of Respiratory Care 440, Teaching Techniques for Healthcare Professionals here in the Boise State Degree Advancement Program. I'm glad you've decided to join me in this session's class. Let's take a look at what we're going to talk about today. We'll be reviewing the week 1 course module. Next, we'll discuss the different assignments that you're responsible for turning in this week. And finally, I'll cover some common tips that's going to help you out throughout the rest of the course. So let's jump right in. All right, so here we are inside the week 1 module. Let's take a look. The first page of the module is going to show you what we're going to be doing this week, and it's just the essentials that you really need to know. We'll be going over learning styles. The required assignments for this week are going to be a discussion board with your initial post due Sunday by midnight. And then your follow-up responses and maintenance of your discussion board will be due next Tuesday. You'll also be doing an assignment that has you select the topic for the lesson that you're going to be building throughout this session. And then the final thing to consider is looking forward to week 2 and beginning to work on your video introduction to your classmates in this course. Let's move on to the next page. Here we see the video that you're watching currently, so we're going to move on. This is the course content, and this week we're talking about what it takes to become an outstanding teacher. The first thing you're going to do is visit this Multiple Intelligences link. It's going to take you to a website where you're going to be completing this survey. It will help you identify some of your basic learning styles. The next thing we're going to look at are Gardner's theories of multiple intelligences. Now this is a little bit of philosophy and going back into learning about how people learn. And in order to be a really great teacher, you've got to understand how other people learn and how to adapt the different types and styles of learning. Now Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences has some proponents and some opponents. And we're going to see both sides of that perspective in this week's course material. So keep an open mind as you're reading through the material to see maybe which side you fall on. But in either case, this has been some seminal research done within the field of education that is crucial for teachers to understand. In these resources, all you have to do is click on them, and it's going to open up a PDF for you to read through. You can also click to download the file in case you want to consume it later. Simply click close, and you're back into the course shell and you can review the rest of the files. This next section is about Bloom's taxonomy. And if you've ever been near education, you've probably heard of Bloom's taxonomy. In here, we also start to learn about what it takes to write good learning objectives. Now, we're not going to be writing objectives this week, but we will be writing them next week. So carefully consider this information. In these articles, we explore what it takes to be a good teacher, the guide to Bloom's taxonomy, so if you're not familiar with it yet, you will be soon. And then an article about using Bloom's taxonomy when preparing your learning objectives and aligning them with your learning outcomes. Now again, that's something we're going to be working on next week, so pay close attention. The next area of the week 1 module is your discussion board. In the discussion board, I've listed several prompts for you to answer. Make sure you address all of those prompts in your discussion board posts, and consider them as you're responding to your classmates. Remember that your initial post is due Sunday by midnight, and it requires 2 references to be cited within your post. Those references can be from the class resources that I provided, but you may also look outside of this class, and I encourage you to do that to pull in resources and research that you're finding as you're exploring these learning items in more detail. You must provide 2 responses to your classmates, and in each response, include at least 1 citation and referenced source. Feel free to respond to more classmates, as well as responding to classmates that replied to your post without making any further references. Make sure you're hitting the marks for at least those minimum discussion board requirements. Also note, you have to post before you'll be able to see your classmates' discussion board posts. Posting to your discussion board is easy. Just click the reply button and then begin typing. Some students will prefer to type in Google Docs or Microsoft Word and then cut and paste into here. That's fine. Sometimes the formatting might adjust a little bit when you paste it, so try to clean that up. But please do not simply paste a URL into this text box or upload a document that contains your discussion board posting. We want all the students to be able to read and reply within the thread without having to hit a bunch of other keystrokes or open up several different windows. Once you've typed your post, just hit post reply and you're on your way. This next section of the week 1 module discusses turning in your assignment, which we'll talk about next, using Google Docs. Now I covered this in the course overview video and I've linked that here on this page. It starts mid-video right where I discuss this topic, so you don't have to rewatch the whole video. It's going to take you right to what you need to know about using Google Docs to turn in your assignments. I've also written it out here above the video in case you learn that way better. Please remember when you're turning in your assignments that you rename that Google Doc file using the method of your last name and then the week number that we're currently in. So the week 1 assignment for me would be Psycho week number 1. Now the next section in our week 1 module is the actual assignment, where we're going to be selecting our course topic. And the first thing I want to point out is this big Start Assignment button up here. It's the big blue button at the top right hand of your screen. You're going to have to click that in order to submit your assignment. But we're not quite ready for that just yet. We're going to go through the rest of the assignment first. We're at the beginning of a course where we're going to be building an entire lesson for a class. Now you get to choose, is this class going to be for clinical students, or is it going to be for patients? Or maybe you're going to be in a classroom teaching to academic students. That choice is yours. But I lay out each week in the session so that you can have a good idea of where we're going each week and mentally prepare as we look forward. You'll note that in week 1, we're developing a topic that will be presented. This is going to be the basis of our lesson plan project for the course. In week 2, we're going to be looking at the course objectives and how those align with the institutional outcomes. In week 3, we have no assignment, but we do have a quiz. Week 4, we'll be developing a lesson plan based off of the topic that we've selected this week, as well as the objectives and the alignments that we've made in week 2. In week 5, we have another quiz. And then in week 6, we're going to be developing a PowerPoint based off of the lesson plan that you built in week 4. Week 7 is an infographic that summarizes the material from week 6. Scrolling down a little bit further, you're going to see some information about selecting your topic. And I've explained a little bit of that already. But one thing to note, it can be anything that you're currently focused on in the healthcare arena or the topic of Y degree advancement. Select from one of those two options. If it's in the healthcare arena, it can be anything of your choice as long as it's consistent with healthcare and your current role. I want this to be applicable to where you're working now, so think about that as well. If you have any questions, email me and I'll provide some guidance. Lastly, for this section, if we scroll down, we see some institutional learning outcomes that I've given you that you can start looking at for week 2. Again, you don't need these now, but it's going to be something that you're going to have to know next week. So start becoming familiar with them now. I've also provided an example for you to look at for this assignment. Clicking on that link will download that to your computer. There's also a rubric which is going to show you how I'm evaluating your work. Now let's go back to the top and click on Start Assignment. This is where you're going to take that Google Docs URL and paste it into this text box right here. Once you've done that, add any comments that you might want me to read, and then simply hit Submit Assignment, and you're good to go. If you've got your notifications set up right in Canvas, you'll receive an email saying that you've successfully submitted that assignment. Now let's move on to the next section. Now I mentioned that we're going to be looking into week 2. Now we do have a video introduction that you're going to provide for the class during week 2. It's going to be due Thursday of week 2. So I'm giving you about a week and a half to prepare this because it is a video format and some people haven't worked in video. Don't let this overwhelm you. all you have to do is use your webcam on your computer or simply hold your phone up and take a quick video introducing yourself to the rest of the class. I've also provided some nice information here about how to make videos and some tips that you might find interesting, as well as how to embed that video into the discussion board post. I've provided a few examples here of introductions that I've made. One is formal and pretty short, and one's a little bit more informal but lasts a little longer. Once again, simply hit the reply button to start posting. At this point, congratulations are in order because you've made it to the end of week 1. So good job there. At the end of each module, you'll see a review screen kind of like this. And it's going to allow you to quickly link back to certain areas that are really important for that module, such as the assignment and the discussion board, and anything else relevant that you may need to review. Additionally, I've identified here that by doing this week's assignment, we've successfully completed the first objective for the course. Additional to that, I've included a couple of links to the student learning outcomes for Boise State, as well as this program's specific student learning outcomes. I've done this so you can start to imagine how everything that I'm teaching in this class has a specific objective. And I need you to learn those objectives to be a successful teacher. But those objectives are linked to an outcome of our program. And those outcomes of the program are indeed linked to the outcomes of the university for you to be a successful professional graduate from Boise State University. This is an important concept in teaching, this alignment concept. It's something that you're going to work with your entire career if you go into education. I cover it here fairly lightly, but hopefully I'm doing it in a way that helps you connect those dots and gives you a good idea of what it means to align your courses with your institutional outcomes. The last thing I'll mention this week before we sign off is the announcements tab. Go ahead and click into their announcements to review any of the weekly emails that I send out, as well as some information that's not in the weekly emails that you'll find helpful. And remember, if you ever get lost while you're in the course, just go home, click that home button, and it'll center you back to find all of your course resources that you might be looking for, as well as the buttons for the weekly modules. All right, class, thanks for joining me. If you have any questions, please do email me so we can take care of those right away. Remember, you can always post to the study hall online in that discussion board as well. So let's make this a great week, and I'll see you guys online.